All right, welcome Senior Home Business family. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's Monday. You should be excited about this week, and we're going to get into talking about senior living communities, the questions that you should be asking, whether you are a student, whether you're an aspiring student, or whether you're a concerned family member. We want to get into questions you need to ask senior living communities. It's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your loved one, benefit people that you know. To ask these questions. We're going to go through, I believe there's 12 of them right now, and you do not want to miss out on the 11th or 12th question. The last two are, I wouldn't say the most important, but man, they are undoubtedly important. So we're going to get into talking about questions for senior living communities. And what I want to put on the screen is we are right now currently offering in the senior home business a free training course simply by scheduling a phone call with us, a 15-minute phone call to go over to Senior Referral Business. You can go to seniorhomebusiness.com. It's probably right behind me on that screen over there, but seniorhomebusiness.com, you can click on the consultation tab there right on the front part of the screen, and you can schedule a consultation with us. If you want to join a senior living online group for free, you can click down below. I believe there's a link down there, and there's also the consultation call. But let's get into it. The questions for senior living communities. What in the world are they? Let's go through the top 12. There's a number of them down in the description as well. If you have a question, please put it up on the in the chat. We'd love to have you up there. Hey, Keely, what's going on? Looking forward to today's chat. I am too, Keely. Good to hear from you. You're an amazing, amazing person. So thank you for joining us today. But let's get into it. Number one, again, if you have any questions, put in the chat. I'll put it up on the screen. Number one, what is the ratio of staff to residents? I mean, this is so key, guys. This is probably the most prevalent question that comes to my mind when I think of going to a senior living community, when I think of the hundreds I've been in and out of, and I'm talking about large communities to care homes, all in between, 32 beds, 16 beds, it doesn't really matter. But man, what's the ratio? This is so important for the care of your loved one and the person that you are recommending to go there. You don't want necessarily, for someone who has high acuity, a lot of ADLs, and if you don't know what ADLs are, it's activities of daily living, and let's say they got about 6 of them. You don't want to put them somewhere where they got one caregiver for every 15 apartments. It's important as the senior referral agent to find this out, know this, not just pull up these communities on Google and this community is close to where the son works and close to their house and all that stuff. I understand cost is a big factor, but man, this ratio of staff to residents is crucial to the process, and you've got to know this. And if you are an agent, you need to ask the communities, right? Let's see, someone else put on there, depends on residents' needs. Yeah, absolutely. You better believe it, Stephen. It's all depending on the residents' needs out there. So, but the the ratio, let's say in care homes, you'll have a 6-to-2 ratio, sometimes a 4-to-2 if they only got 4 residents. But large communities can do really well as well. I'm not bagging large communities because I've been in a number of large communities that provide impeccable care. They are amazing, but some, because maybe since the pandemic, since the staff cutbacks or whatever, but man, I don't like a 15-to-1 ratio. I don't like, for every 15 residents, there's a caregiver, and, and they're on these shifts, and every 6 to 10 hours, they're rotating, and somebody forgets a room, and mom might only be seen once in the entire day. So that'd be a key one. Number 2, what are their additional fees for certain services or activities? This is key, guys. I run into this quite a bit. Have run into a situation one time before, and actually it's happened many times, but at least one time before, right off the top of my head, it's one community, and mom got sick, and mom was in the apartment, and mom could not come down for dining, and they all required, obviously, the residents come down for dining certain hours to get their breakfast, lunch, dinner, and mom was just sick, and for a couple, 2 or 3 days, she could not come down to the dining hall. Guess what the community did? For the first day, they accommodated mom. The second and third day, they accommodated mom. However, the family got an invoice for the second and third day and said, hey, out of our kindness and who we are, we didn't mind helping mom out the first day, but the second and third day, it just required a real strain on our staff. So we just got to, up the invoice a little bit this month. So you want to find out, is there any additional fees for certain services, whether it be So what example I just gave you or other things. I mean, because let's say mom goes into a community and she has 3 ADLs, and let's say over time, now she has 5. What are the additional services for that? Or activities. Sometimes activities I've seen in communities, just because they offer them doesn't come with a certain fee. So you want to ask that. Number 3, are there visiting physicians or specialists? Most communities, at least in my area, do this. I really appreciate this. I know some families would prefer mom to go to her own physician, and I totally get that. It's a comfortability. Mom's been going to that physician for the last 30 years and she's comfortable. However, not just for convenience, but maybe mom doesn't drive. Obviously, she's in assisted living, maybe memory care. She doesn't drive. Family can't go by and pick her up to her doctor's appointments, and the community can't provide that necessarily. So it really helps having a visiting physician every 30 days or so. A physician comes by and can check up on mom. So that happens in residential care homes a lot, happens a lot of times in the large communities as well. Number 4, are the accommodations furnished or unfurnished? This is key, guys. I'm telling you, this is so negotiable, and I don't think too many people realize this, but it's so negotiable. You look at a model apartment and you go, oh, wow, it looks so beautiful in here. But here's the apartment mom's getting, 212, and it's completely empty. If you need a bed, ask for it. If you need a dresser, ask for it. Happens in residential care homes all the time. Sometimes in large communities, they do accommodate the apartment being fully furnished. Other times they don't. But if you simply ask, they're willing to do certain things. Let's see. Someone else put up there, hey, Matt, thanks for the great content. Happy to catch the live. Hey, man, glad you're enjoying us, but I appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot, man. It's always good to see students pop by and be here with me. So yeah, but ask about the bed, the dresser, lamp, or whatever it may be, whatever mom needs. And what reason this would help you guys, because I know a lot of residents, including myself. I'm not a resident right now, but I prefer my own bed, and I get that. But if the community is able to accommodate you in a lot of ways, the dresser and other things, man, it just helps with the move, right? Oh my gosh, because you're going to be doing this, right? Unless you get a moving company, you're going to be doing this. Number 5, can residents eat in their rooms if they prefer? It goes back to my other example when the resident got dinged on their invoice because they were sick for 3 days. Are the residents allowed to eat in their rooms? This is so important because maybe sometimes mom would rather be in her room on the recliner, watching TV, having some quiet time by herself, reading a book, and she'd rather have her Danish or her breakfast or her lunch or whatever it is there in her room. Is that acceptable? You need to ask this question if you are accommodating a family for a resident to move as a referral agent or as a concerned family member. Is mom able to do this, or are they always urging them out of the room? Which I get it, because they like the socialization part. They want the residents to connect with each other. I totally get that. But at times, shoot, I'd rather be at home sometimes. I don't want to go out to eat all the time. Number 6, how does the community support social interaction amongst residents? Now, this goes along with number 5, because this is the reason why communities don't typically want the residents eat in their rooms, because they want the socialization part. They also want to be able to see mom on a regular basis, at least 3 times a day outside the caregiver making her rounds, because if they're in the dining hall, they can see how mom is responding, how mom is walking, how mom is taking care of herself. They can see all this out in the open. So that's another reason. But, how does the community support social interaction? Do they have activities and things they encourage the residents to be involved in? Okay, I got another question here. Chris says, hey, Matt, great info, sir. Hey, appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate it, my man. Great to see you. Great to have you on. And it's awesome, man. Appreciate it. So, but yeah, social interaction is so key. But does the community really support it? And they'll say they support it because they'll say we got all these activities, and that's cool. But what are they doing to come alongside of mom, making sure she participates? Think about it when you were a kid, right? You go to school and there's all kinds of activities. I don't care if you're playing kickball and volleyball and all that, but you always had that kid that just didn't participate. No one wanted to pick the kid on the team. No one wanted the kid to be involved. They didn't like the kid for whatever reason. We know what? That still happens as adults. And it happens with elders. It happens with seniors. So, there might be a senior that is, not too outspoken and doesn't really want to socialize or more of an introvert. But what does the community do to help support that senior? You want to ask that question. Number 7, man, what is the visitation policy for family and friends? So key, you guys, understand the visitation policy, because some communities will say, hey, at 7 p.m., the doors are shut, the doors are locked, security, but family and friends cannot come at that point in time. Now, let's say you're working, let's say 10 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. Well, that means you can't see mom all during the week. So it's very important you ask for the visitation policy. Some communities will extend that. Residential care homes sometimes will allow you to go a little bit later. Now, to their credit, whether it be a big community or a small community, the reason they want to keep it about 7 p.m., that's kind of typically the average, at least what I hear, is they don't want a whole lot of commotion, right? It's a peaceful time. Some residents are going to bed early. Man, for goodness, I go to bed early. Man, residents are going to bed early. They want a whole lot of people in there making noise. But there are some exceptions to the rule. And if you just ask what the visitation policy is, they'll share with you. Maybe you can get, some favor with the community and say, hey, I know your visitation policy is 7, but I would really like to come at 8. It's the only way I can get here. Would you mind if I come 15 minutes? I'll be really quiet, be with mom, and get permission. Number 8, is there a trial period or a way to test out the community? Woo! Guys, I'm here to tell you, man, these are questions you need to ask because not all communities are alike. They're not all the same. So is there a trial period or a way to test out the community? I know some communities will allow families to bring over their mom, and usually the family accommodates them as well. And they can stay 2 or 3 days. They can stay an extended weekend, Friday through Sunday, and see how mom likes it. You all probably heard the stories where communities will allow residents to come in and have lunch. That's the way you can test and try the community. Well, you're testing their food. You're sitting down with a marketing director, or maybe you get a couple of residents around you, you're talking. But, how's it in the evening, the early morning hours at 3, 4 in the morning? How's it, everything else? So see if you can test it out in some way. Maybe you don't want to stay a whole weekend. I totally get that. But at least go have a lunch. At least participate in some form or capacity so the family, they'll know, hey, this is the right place for mom or not. Number 9. Are there safety features in place for residents with mobility issues? Come on, this is a huge one, you guys. So if you got a multi-floor community and mom is on the 3rd floor, but she has a mobility issue and something happens, and God forbid something happens to that community. I just heard about an incident, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, where there was a fire in a senior living community. It was on the northeast part of the country somewhere. Fortunately, no one got injured. No one passed away. No one, it just, a lot of damage to the community. But you want to think through that process. If mom has some mobility issues, you may not want her on the 3rd floor. If so, what are they going to do if something should arise that mom needs to get out of the apartment? What accommodations do they have? And it gets into number 10. What qualifications and training do the staff members have? So the qualifications, obviously, you have an executive director, but you have caregivers and you have other staff members. Are they trained? I assume they are, but you can't assume, you guys. I'm telling you, you can go to some communities, they've had caregivers there, and some caregivers just got hired and they might have 2 or 3 weeks experience, and that's cool. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I'm not complaining and getting on them. We all got to start somewhere. However, there's some communities out there where caregivers have been there for 12 years. They've got a proven track record. Is that important to you? If it is, you want to ask about that. Getting down to 11 and 12 here. Number 11, what happens if a resident's care needs change? Oh, buddy, I know what typically happens when their care needs change. The price goes up. And you've got to ask this question at the beginning. If mom's care needs should go up, then what about the overall cost? Let's say you got mom in the community at $5,000 a month, and that's all you can afford. That's all she could afford. You can't afford one more dollar. And then all of a sudden, mom needs 2 or 3 more ADLs. The price goes up $500 a month. Now you can't afford it. So what happens then? Mom needs to move. Mom's got to go somewhere else. And you're right back at a starting block. So you want to make sure that you find out that I have had, not on many occasions. Now, this is not typical, but I've had situations where I've negotiated because the family was down to the last dollar, and I got negotiated with the community. They wrote in the contract that this price will never go up. Now, that's few and far between. I get it. It's not going to happen all the time, but hey, you don't get anything in life unless you ask for it. So at least ask and find out if mom's care needs go up. What about the price? What are the protocol for this? How much time do I have that goes by? Will you let me know and give me a 90-day notice? Will you give me 6 months to come up with the difference? Or is it right away and I get invoiced next month? You want to find out that. Last but not least, number 12, what is the process for transitioning out of the community if necessary? Now, you hope it never comes to this, but hey, things happen. You just, over time, management changes, the caregivers change, and maybe you walked in and visited mom, you didn't like what you saw, heard, didn't like what you smelled, and all that stuff, and you just kind of like, it's time for a change. Well, what is the process for transitioning out of the community? Do you have to pay additional fee? Every community, at least in my area, and I think most communities are this way, it's only a 30-day contract. So it's not like you're committed for the whole year, but you still got to pay. So if it's the middle of the month, you still got to pay the last 2 weeks. How much notice do you have to give? Typically it's 30 days, but you'd have to work out that kind of thing. What is the process for transitioning out of the community if necessary? Frank says, ask. There you go. Hey, Frank, simple. 3-letter word, ask, buddy. I agree with you, man. You don't get anything in life unless you ask for it. But what is the process? So you want to get through that. So it's important that you have a list of questions. There's more questions down in the description. I just picked the top 12 that I would prefer, that I would look at. There's more down there. There's more questions you can ask along the way. Guys, you get things in life, just what Frank says, you ask. You don't get things in life by hoping that things happen. You want to ask for it. All right. This one here says, Stephen, work with senior transition specialists like our company. There you go, Steve. Put a plug in for your company, my friend. I like that. Hey, if you want to showcase your company, hop on my channel, man. I'll throw it up on the screen for you and people can recognize who you are. But again, if you want a free training course, you're not already a senior referral agent. You're not already my student. You're not in the senior home business, but you want a free training course to know more about what it is to be a senior referral agent, how to make, change your life, but also in the process, changing the lives of other people. You can click down below, schedule a call with me, or go to seniorhomebusiness.com directly and click on the consultation. Schedule a phone call with me. I would love to talk to you. I'd love to tell you about this business, love to tell you how this changed my life, and it will change your life as well. More than the monetary side of things. It will change your life financially. However, I'm telling you, every senior I have the opportunity and privilege to move. It helps me, and it brings a sense of satisfaction, a warmth to my heart like no other, man. There's nothing like being an advocate for seniors. And I want to encourage anyone out there that's considering doing something for yourself, be an advocate for a senior. Be a person of empathy. Be educated in this industry. Don't try to do it yourself. And it starts with asking questions, man. Are you asking good questions about this industry? Are you asking good questions about who you are and what you want to do? Because clarity will bring that to you. Hey, until next time, God bless.